Welcome to the exam series, Configuring Exchange 2007 Server for the 70-236 exam. My name is J. Peter Brzezzi. Let me tell you a little bit about myself. So who is J. Peter Brzezzi? Now the first thing you might be wondering is, what's the J stand for? Well, if I told you that, it would take all the mystery out of things, wouldn't it? Okay, so who am I? I am a Microsoft engineer, an MCSE. I'm a Microsoft certified trainer, and you can see I've got a bunch of other certifications listed up there. And I guess the best way to explain how it is that I started getting all of these certifications is just that I loved taking the exams. I got just such a rush off of going in there and passing an exam. And that's not to say that I passed every single one on the first try. There were some that really took me down and I had to go back again and again. But I really loved the challenge of passing those Microsoft exams. And so over time, after building up a large enough portfolio of taking the exams, I was able to participate in contributing to Microsoft exam content. And as you can see, I like to write more than just exam questions. I like to write Exchange articles. I like to contribute to books. I've done quite a number of books for Q, for SAMS. I write for Redmond Magazine and Windows IT Pro. And I'm also a tech speaker. I speak on high availability in Exchange, what's new in Exchange, and several other topics for the Tech Mentor conferences. But you know, the thing that you might be really wondering about is, why am I so much in love with Exchange? What is the real attraction there? Well, years ago, I had the privilege of playing a video game, and it was a brand new game at the time. It's not so new anymore, but it was Sim City. And I just loved the idea of being able to map out a city and being like the mayor of that city, controlling every aspect of things. Well, after that, Microsoft in 2000 released Active Directory, and I just love the idea of being able to be the master of an entire domain. Pun intended there. But then with Exchange, you have the opportunity to control the mail. And as Newman liked to say in Seinfeld, when you control the mail, you control information. So in addition to really being a fan of Active Directory, I'm a huge fan of Exchange because as an Exchange administrator, you control information. You control the flow of mail. So that's who I am. I love Seinfeld, I like to write, and I like to control information. So I'm really the perfect person to teach you about Exchange. Now let's go through an overview of the various nuggets that are found in this series. So to start off with, in the series outline, we see the first one is Introduction to Exchange 2007. This nugget will explain how Exchange and Active Directory work together. In addition, we also talk about the 5 new server roles. We're going to go through an overview of each of those servers. Then we have number 2, Preparing and Installing Exchange 2007. This discusses the preparation needed for your Active Directory infrastructure. It talks about the hardware and software needed for installing Exchange on a standalone server. And then we walk through the installation one step at a time. Number 3 is managing storage groups and databases. This explains the overall architecture of storage for a Microsoft Exchange server. It's about storage groups and databases and how they all work together. It's about transaction logs and how transaction logs keep databases up to date. So there's quite a bit in that nugget. And then number 4, configuring public folders. Even though in Exchange 2007 public folders are not highlighted as a primary thing any longer, the public folders are supported in Exchange 2007, and it's a big part of the exam topics as well. And then managing recipient objects, mailboxes. Obviously, an Exchange server is worthless unless you have mailboxes arranged. And so we talk about the various recipient objects and how to configure them. And the primary focus of this nugget is the creation, configuration, and management of mailboxes. We also talk about how to move mailboxes from one server to another. Number 6 is managing more recipient objects. And in this nugget, we go into a discussion of mail-enabled accounts, resource mailboxes like conference rooms and shared equipment, distribution groups, linked mailboxes, and so forth. In number 7, email policies, accepted domains, and address lists. It's really a hodgepodge of all of the rest of the information that you need for your mailbox server. So up until this point in the Nugget series, we are discussing the mailbox server role. But then in Nugget number 8, configuring your client access server, that's when we start looking into the other server roles and how you configure those. So in this nugget, we discuss Outlook Web Access and ActiveSync and the configuration of those two features to the client access server. In nugget number 9, we go further and discuss Outlook Anywhere and setting up POP IMAP configuration. And we also talk about some of the different services that the client access server provides, such as auto discover, the offline address book, and the availability service. In nugget number 10, configuring disaster recovery, we talk about all of the various problems that can occur, and depending on which server role goes down, how you can recover your server, as well as methodology on how you can recover messaging data. Sometimes you don't need to recover an entire server. You may just need to recover one email message or one mailbox. So we talk about doing that. And then we have in Nugget 11, configuring high availability. High availability is a huge topic for Exchange 2007. High availability includes local continuous replication, LCR, cluster continuous replication, CCR, and single copy clusters, SCC. So there's acronyms that come with high availability as well. And so in this nugget, we have the opportunity to discuss these various solutions. In nugget number 12, understanding message transport, we start going into an explanation of the hub transport server role, and we discuss the architecture behind your message pipeline, so you can see what happens when a message is sent from one user to another within your organization or to someone outside of your organization. Number 13 is troubleshoot message transport, and that involves going through the various tools necessary for troubleshooting, the mailflow troubleshooter, message tracking, the queue viewer, protocol logging. And so if you need to know what's going on with your mail flow, why is there a problem, this nugget helps you to figure that out. Number 14, configuring your edge transport role. The edge transport server sits at the edge of your network in the perimeter, usually in a DMZ zone. So we discuss how to configure that, how to set up the synchronization between your hub transport and your edge transport server, as well as how to use the security configuration wizard. That's what that nugget is all about. Number 15 is finalizing edge transport. And this includes discussing how to set up a postmaster mailbox, how to configure your DNS settings, and all the other final things that need to be done with the edge transport server. And then we have number 16, configuring anti-spam. There's a ton of anti-spam settings that you can configure for your Exchange server. So we talk about it from the edge transport server role, but you can also perform these tasks on the hub transport server role, and we show you how to do that. Number 17 is analyze and monitor Exchange 2007. This is a big exam topic, so it's good to know how to monitor your Exchange server, and we show you how to do that using the various tools that are at our disposal for monitoring. We also talk a little bit about Microsoft Operations Manager, MOM. Now that's not on the exam, but it's something that Microsoft is pushing in order to help you to monitor and report better on your Exchange server, so we discuss it a little bit. Then in 18, we take a look at unified messaging. And even though it's not a strong exam topic, it's not something you need to really focus on for the exam, it's important to round out your knowledge of all of the server roles, so we included a nugget in here on how to configure unified messaging. In number 19, we have troubleshooting your Exchange environment, and we do this using not only the Exchange Management Console, but the Exchange Management Shell. So we discuss some of the various commands that are used for troubleshooting, how you can test your system using the test commandlet, and so this will round out your thinking completely on how to administrate your Exchange environment. Now, number 20 is PowerShell from 0 to 60. And even though we use PowerShell throughout the entire series of nuggets here, right from the beginning we have to get into PowerShell commands in order to get certain things to work. But this nugget takes us back to the foundation to make sure that you're comfortable with PowerShell. And in fact, you may want to watch this one first just to make sure you have a good understanding of PowerShell before you start using it at the higher levels. Now, nugget number 21 is a bonus exam prep. And really, it's a discussion of the preparation guide for exam 70-236. It's a review of the skills being measured according to what Microsoft lists as the skills that they're looking for in order for you to pass the exam. And it includes some tips and tricks on how to prepare for this particular exam. So we hope that whets your appetite a bit for the exam series to come, and I look forward to helping you pass exam 70-236 Exchange Server 2007 configuring.